only game of the season where two McKinney ISD teams played each other, and the Boyd Broncos came out on top 56-21 over the McKinney Lions, and in doing so, clinch a spot in the playoffs. I'm joined by very happy and probably relieved Don Drake. Coach, I know you clinched the playoff spot a little later than you would have wished, but nonetheless, you get the win, you're in, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, very excited for the kids. I thought they did a great job. You know, we knew there was a lot on the line coming into to Week 10, a little more than we had hoped, honestly. We had hoped to have already clinched the spot and have a rivalry game only to worry about. Instead, we had playoff implications wrapped up in that game as well as senior night. So it was a big night, a lot of stress, but I thought the kids came out and played fast. I thought they played physical and with a lot of intensity and pulled out with a great victory.
As we take a look at the highlights, we're going to notice that the big game of the night was from your running back, Brian Driscoll. Had over 300 yards rushing and 7 touchdowns. The performance, of his career probably on senior night, his last game, and he also goes for over 5,000 yards in his career rushing here at Boyd.
Yeah, Brian had a tremendous night. Of course, and he would tell you the same thing. That all starts with those guys up front. That offensive line, our tight end, they do a great job of creating some running lanes for him. He obviously does a great job with the ball in his hands, seeing those holes that they create and exploding through them. Very excited for him and in the night that he had on senior night Friday.
Yeah, I think we've talked about before how when your offensive line dictates a game, it's really almost impossible for anybody to stop you. What was the practice like leading up to this game for the offensive line, and describe their motivation in playing in this rivalry game?
Well, our kids knew how important it was that they start fast, and I think that was critical. In the past few weeks, we've struggled to establish our running game, and especially to establish it early. So we felt it was real important that we get a quick start, and I thought our kids came out focused. I thought they executed very, very well. It helped us establish that running game early, and then we had a chance to build some momentum off of that.
You start out with the 7-0 lead. McKinney has a 4th and 2 at your 11, and you stop that. So you get the ball back, and you score another long 55-yard touchdown and go up 14-0 at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah, that 4th down stop was huge. I mean, they were down in scoring territory, went for it. We were able to get the stop and then capitalize on that by extending that lead to 14. We knew they were very explosive offensively. They have the ability to score quickly, which they did at the times that they did score. They were able to do that very quickly. So we knew that we needed to try and somehow build a cushion. Obviously, that 4th down stop allowed us to give us the opportunity to do that.
Defense and special teams coming up key for you in this game.
They were huge. I thought we won the toss, so we were able to put them in the wind early. We got the stop. They had to punt into the wind, which gave us a short field for our first drive. I thought that was big. After a couple of penalty situations that they had to kick off to us from their own 10-yard line, which was huge because it gave us a short field on that. They had a couple of bad snaps in the punt game, which we were able to make plays in the backfield on that part and created some opportunities for us there on a short field. So, I thought the special teams was really, really key to the ball game.
You eventually are up 21-14 with about 2 minutes left in the half, and because of those penalties that McKinney occurred, you get the special teams with a kickoff return to get deep in their territory. You score right before the half to give yourself that 14-point cushion. That's a huge touchdown.
Yeah, it was big. I mean, again, it was about keeping that cushion, which allowed us to continue to run the football, hopefully eat some clock, keep the ball out of their hands and their offense off the field, which was pretty key to our success.
All the first half touchdowns were scored by Driscoll, and he runs it in to start off the third quarter on your opening drive with a 41-yard touchdown run. That's the way you want to start off the third quarter.
Yeah, and that was our message to the kids at halftime, at least to the offense, was, you get the ball to start the second half. That's typically why I like to defer when we win the toss, is because I like for our offense to take the field to start the second half. We did that. It was important that we go down and put the ball into the end zone and extend that lead to put the pressure back on them to have to go create some plays, and our kids were successful in doing that, and I thought that was pretty critical.
Dalen Markham, as we just saw, had the big interception on Robert Somborn against one of the elite passers really in the area.
Yeah, Robert's a great quarterback. You know, I had the opportunity to go over and talk to him for a few minutes after the game on Friday, and you know, I've watched him for 3 years, and the kid's a competitor, and he does a great job back there engineering that offense, and we knew that what he was capable of coming into the football game. For us to be able to get some pressure on him in the second half, I thought was pretty critical, and Dalen comes up with a turnover, and that was definitely a big factor in the ball game.
You recovered a bad snap off that punt, converted for a touchdown. You lead 42-21 going into the fourth quarter, and you have a 3rd and 6 at your own 49. And Curtis Ladd only completed one pass the entire night, and it was a big 18-yard one to Scrivens.
Yeah, it was huge. You know, we only threw it 5 times, so we ended up 1 for 5. Here's the ball right here on a one-handed grab, which was huge. Gave us the first down. We were able to punch the ball into the end zone after Curtis made this great run up the middle and got the ball down there on the 4, and we were able to punch it in.
You lead 49-21 after that touchdown. One more score on the night, and it's a fumble recovery in the end zone. Again, McKinney had some problems with the punting. Your special teams to come up big again. Matt Dotson recovers it for a touchdown.
Actually, I believe it was Tyler Ferguson that recovered for the touchdown. Matt Dotson caused the fumble there, and Tyler Ferguson jumped on it in the end zone to get the credit for the touchdown. So I think the media gave credit to Matt. Matt actually caused it and knocked it into the end zone, and Tyler Ferguson was the one that recorded it.
All I had to go by is what the media
said
for that game.
I know. We were laughing about that on Saturday because Ferguson made the play and didn't give any credit for it. So I need to give him some credit today for that.
And really with your entire special teams, you know, it's difficult to pick out one person, you know, every game to give credit to. The whole special teams as a unit really deserves all the credit.
They did. I thought they played really well, and I made this point to you earlier before we went on air that, you know, even when we had to kick into the wind, I thought Jared Semank did a great job of putting the ball deep into their territory on those opportunities that we had to kick the ball into the wind. So, you know, I thought he stepped up and played really, really well Friday, and I thought that was very critical because, you know, we could have given them a short field, but fortunately we were able to put the ball pretty deep into that wind and make the plays we needed to make to give them a long field to drive into.
So now you're in the playoffs. You're in the Division II because you're one of the lower enrollment schools. And you have a pretty decent draw looking ahead. Of course, a very tough first game against Jesuit. They're 8-2. And, of course, when you think Jesuit, you think of their senior wide receiver, Oliver, who set a state record for career receptions. Who specifically on your defense is going to have the responsibility of shutting him down?
Well, I'm sure both of our corners, Chris Stanton and Paxton Larson, both will line up against him at various times on Friday. So, you know, we'll see how it plays out. We have confidence in both those kids and their ability to make some plays from the secondary. So they'll both probably get an opportunity against him on Friday night.
What area do you think specifically your team needs to improve on a little bit going into the playoffs from the regular season?
Well, I think, again, the big key is we've got to play intense and we've got to play fast from the start, you know, and I thought that was pretty critical to our success Friday, and our kids fortunately came out and did that, and I think it's going to be pretty important that we go do that again, especially on the offensive side of the ball, where we've struggled in recent weeks to be able to establish ourselves. I think it's important that we're able to do that early in the game to give ourselves some confidence and give ourselves some momentum.
You're playing this game against Jesuit at Clark Stadium, where you've already played this year in Plano, and it's a good chance for your team to really travel well to that game and have the home crowd support playing that team that is also in Dallas.
Yeah, and we're excited about going back to Clark Stadium. I love Clark Stadium. I think it's a great place to play a game. We'll be on the visitor side on Friday night, which is where we were when we played Plano there a few weeks back in district play. We've already had some success there this year. Hopefully we'll repeat that success on Friday night.
The confidence level of your team now should be very high after beating McKinney, who had a great year in their own right. You know, they jumped from 0-10 to 5-5 this year. Going throughout the playoffs with your team, how do you continue to build on the success you've had in the regular season?
Well, I think you do have to gain momentum, you know, and we knew we treated Pat last Friday night as a playoff game. I mean, that was kind of our approach. And so the kids know what's at stake. They know if you don't win that you're done, you know, and for those seniors especially, that's pretty critical that they go and play well. And so I thought Friday night our seniors did that. I thought our underclassmen played well too, but I thought our seniors that we have really stepped up and played well on Friday. they've got to continue to do that as we move through the playoffs if they want to keep playing. And I think that they do. They're a great group of kids. They've got a great attitude and a great work ethic. So I would expect them to continue to work hard and stay focused and see how far we can take this.
What did you say to the McKinney Lions head coach Jeff Smith after the game, especially after the season that they had?
Well, Jeff and them do a great job. I mean, and I've got a lot of respect for him and for his coaching staff. What a huge turnaround for them this year, going from 0-10 to 5-5. And so, you know, they had a great year. They've got some great kids. They got some great coaches. So, you know, hats off to them for the season that they had, and I know that they'll continue to build on that in the future as they move forward.
And finally, Coach, if you have a message for your fans here at McKinney Boyd, for all the parents of the students here, for this upcoming playoff run, what would it be?
Well, get out and support the team on Friday night. You know, it's pretty exciting around here. The whole Red Nation fan club that we've got going with our student body, and they're very involved, and it's great to see that involvement. We need our fans to be out there Friday in the stands rooting these kids on, because it means a lot to them, you know, and sometimes you forget as a fan maybe how important you are to the game, but the kids know you're there, they hear you, they feel your support, it helps build that momentum, it helps raise that intensity level. So, you know, we need the folks from McKinney, Texas, to be headed down to Plano on Friday night and cheer us on as we beat the Jesuit Rangers.
Well, Coach, I want to again congratulate you on a great regular season and for making the postseason, and for the McKinney Boyd Broncos playing Jesuit Friday night at Clark Stadium in Plano, a chance to move on in the playoffs, maybe have a deep run that could result in a trip to the state title. You never know. As we wrap up this edition of Sports Talk, we want to thank all three head football coaches for their time, not only on today's show, but for the entire season. Fortunately for us, the Boyd Broncos have made the postseason, so we'll continue to have highlights from their games until their run comes to an end. Boyd will play Jesuit Friday night at 7:30 at Clark Stadium in Plano. Be sure to come back next week as we review the volleyball season for all of the McKinney ISD teams. There might even be a state championship to discuss. From all of us here at Sports Talk, I'm Tyler Sloan. See you next week for another episode of Sports Talk.